in this Sunday celebration of Open Door Center for Spiritual Living. Y'all just mighty fine smiling back at me on my computer screen this morning. I just love it. I love that we have the technology in this time to be able to connect, you know, from all over the place, literally all over the world. Joanna's and Laura are in Florida. Pam's in Swannanoa. You know, we just have people coming in from all over the place, Asheville, all surrounding areas, and it's just delightful. As we begin this morning, I just remind you that everyone is muted, and we do that to cut down on the background noise. So just to make it easier for our speaker, Laura Rosewood, to speak without interruption. And at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Sylvia. I know I did. Thank you, Sylvia, for just helping us with this technology. It is just such a blessing. So now I want to turn it over to our own Laura Rosewood, licensed practitioner, to unmute herself and bring us in with prayer.
Thank you. So welcome to this place where God lives and breathes and has its being. It may look virtual, but it is full in spirit, and in each of our hearts there is that power and presence that creates this beautiful life that we live. It is me and it is each one of us. And I know that as we meet together, our hearts are uplifted. We are joyful in this community experience, and we know that power that resides within. I know that our lives are blessed, and this time together is a time of joy and sharing and growth and enlightenment, that life springs forth because we are in community and God is always there. I'm so grateful for this time, and grateful for this community, and grateful for this knowing that in every life and everything that is the presence of the divine. And as I release my word, I just know that today is blessed, and God has said yes and made it so. And so it is.
And so it is. Thank you so much, Laura. And so I'm going to turn it right back over to Laura. Laura is our speaker this morning. She is a licensed practitioner with Open Door Center for Spiritual Living and an upcoming graduate from Holmes Institute. Oh, girl, I know, right, man. That is amazing. Rocking it. Go for it.
All right, thank you. So we're all in this together. Isn't that a great slogan? I had to admit that for me, it felt like Hollywood hype when I first started seeing it. It seemed to be, you know, a marketing ploy for the corporations as well. I know, cynical, right? But there was this feeling of, this doesn't feel right. And I had to think, where was it coming from? What subconscious beliefs were being triggered by this statement? And after I thought about it, I realized I still have remnants of this core belief that everyone is out for themselves, that it's all about money for Hollywood and corporations. There's not a real focus on people and keeping them safe and happy. So I really had to work to get the message that's in this phrase. We are all in this together. And it wasn't ringing true. I had slid back into this mechanical victim level of awareness, old subconscious beliefs that were driving my feelings and what I was hearing. I wasn't hearing or seeing, we're all in this together, yay. I was experiencing a feeling of manipulation and platitudes. And I'll admit it took me a while to work through this, and even considered that there was an honest desire to help people cope by sharing this message. I had lost sight of the people behind the slogan. You know, what we believe in science and mind. You know, people are expressions of the divine, and love was driving this message that I was seeing on TV. So it made me start thinking about all these levels of awareness that we find in our teaching. I mean, there's 4 levels that I've been made aware of, that I've been taught. one of my teachers, Reverend Tom Sanner, he defines them as the mechanical level, the discovery level, waking up, and conscious illumination. I'm not sure who first defined them, these levels to me, as to me, by me, through me, and as me, but I think I first heard it from Reverend Michael Beckwith. But however we define it, what name we give it, these levels of awareness are basically how we see and experience life. So I want to go through these levels and really think about our awareness. So at the mechanical level, or to me, we're driven by our subconscious beliefs. Our reactions are automatic and they're based on subconscious programming. We don't realize our thoughts are creating our reality. We think it is conditions and circumstances that are out there, that's outside of us. I think of it as riding the tide of collective unconsciousness. It's that place of no inner awareness. It's more outside. And I think that's where my initial reaction was to, we are all in this together. I also think this is the home of our implicit bias that's come up so much in the news lately. It's what we have learned or picked up throughout our life without conscious thought. I think this is where we start when we're climbing our ladder of consciousness. It's kind of that victim mentality where we're really not in control. And it's something that's in our lives all the time. We don't poof automatic, all of a sudden have all of our old beliefs gone and not have this to me never come up again. And then when another level is that discovery level that is by me. It's where we start to see the relationship between what we think and what our life looks like. We realize our thoughts have power. This is where we first use that law of attraction. We consciously focus on our desires to make them happen. You know, the world works for me. I can change my life. I'm not bound by conditions and circumstances. But I'm still operating from my human personality. I think of this as the manifester awareness and consciousness. And then we move up and we enter this waking up or through me level of awareness. And we see that unity of life. We recognize that indwelling spirit and what's been called the sweet reciprocity of spirit. We live at this higher level and let this wisdom work through us. It's a place where it's not all by our willpower. We're letting spirit work through us. But what is this sweet reciprocity of spirit? I believe it's the creative process, the giving and receiving cycle of the creative process. So spirit gives to us as intuition and inspiration and guidance, and we receive this wisdom. We formulate our desire, and then we give back to spirit through our word what we desire. And then spirit, as law, receives this blueprint for a new work and manifest. And this cycle continues. That spirit gives and we receive inspiration. And then we give and spirit receives direction. So in this place, we're co-creating. We're in that place of letting spirit create through us. It's an awareness that we are spiritual beings and we're a channel for this life. We go beyond our own personality and our material desires. We use the connection of all life and work to strengthen and expand that awareness or connection. It's not just about me anymore, it's about us. Everything, all life, all creation, you know, being part of more than just me and what I desire, letting life flow through me. When I initially thought about this, my mind wanted to think of it as a burden. Like to include everyone and everything is going to be hard. It's adding additional responsibility, but in actuality, it's lighter. It feels lighter because this gift of letting go of my willpower and surrendering to spirit opens that channel, which means I'm not doing the work. I'm letting my consciousness flow through me, that power flow through me that is spirit. So I'm waking up, and in this waking up, I'm a channel for spirit. The fourth level, that's conscious illumination, or as Michael Beckwith says, as me. This is where we live our inner wisdom. We show up as our spiritual essence. There's no sense of separation. We are that I am. I'm recognizing I am that I am. Sometimes I feel like I've only had glimpses of this level of awareness because I tend to think that it has to be some great aha moment where I'm one with God. And you know what? It happens every time I'm in a spiritual mind treatment. Because that's where I'm connecting and knowing that I am that I am. I'm releasing that control to the divine. So as I was going through this, I thought, wow, it isn't just about those magnificent experience of that energy and power that is God. It's every time that we take the time to connect with spirit and let it work in us. And let us surrender. You know, I think of it as being fully in the flow, allowing everything to unfold naturally. It's conscious being. And I think that's what we want to strive for. We want to be that consciousness all the time, that example of spirit expressing. And I know that I'm not there all the time. But I also know that it's possible. I have this feeling that comes up inside me that when I'm in that space as the divine, there's peace and calm. And yet there's excitement and joy. It's like a jumble of everything. It's just letting it all be there. It's what it is. And I'm hoping that I experience it more. I think we all can experience it more in life when we're aware. But I know I don't get that all the time because I'm a control freak. And I'm still working on letting go and letting it be and knowing that God is okay to work through me. I don't have to be in control. So there's all these different levels of awareness and in life. And I think they're like many things in life. They're not constant. We bounce back and forth between these levels. Because think about it, we don't even know we've been in the mechanical to me level until something triggers an awareness or a belief. So I wonder that it's sometimes we're constantly in the mechanical and also in the discovery and in the waking up part as we go through all the different thoughts that we have in a day as we become aware. And I know I've read it and seen it as a ladder that we climb in awareness, but I think that rising spiral is the better metaphor. We're always getting higher, even though we're always experiencing these different levels of awareness, because each time that we awaken to a belief that we've had, that underlying belief, we're in a higher level of awareness and consciousness. And even though we may feel we've gone backward, we're still higher on that spiral. And I have to believe that uncovering that hidden belief that says, oh my God, I've been in auto mode, it's still a good thing. It still allows us to move higher in consciousness and being. I think that's really something that we need to remember now, that these levels are all part of us right now. And what's going on now, we're really being called to look at our hidden beliefs, our implicit bias when we're talking about the racism and things that are going around that. And, you know, I've been hearing about white privilege for several years now. But when I first heard about it, it was presented in an accusatory fashion without a real definition or any examples that I could understand or relate to. I'm not saying that the person was bad, but this was coming from a person who was in her own process of dealing with this new awareness. And so she was excited about it and trying to explain it, but my reaction was, this is telling me that I'm wrong, that I'm part of this, I'm part of a problem. And I'm going, oh, no, I don't see it that way. It didn't register on me because I felt defensive. And what happens is sometimes when we have a new realization, it's not a smooth transition from one way of being to the next. And when we talk with someone else about it, that iffy stuff comes out. And for me, I took it as a attack that I was being blamed for the injustice of society. And I know I went over the top, but that's what I was feeling, because I couldn't bring in any responsibility because I felt like I was being the point of all responsibility. I kind of overcompensate. But I can look back at that, and that's what I see happening. But at the time, I was taking myself off the hook. I'm not totally responsible, so I'm not responsible at all, and I don't have to look at this. But the nice part is, things are different today. People are sharing examples of what white privilege looks like. And I can see how the system has been skewed. I can see my part. And it's not all terrible stuff. It's just things that I incorporated based on how I was raised. I didn't know that this was a bias. And it's so nice to have it shown to me what it is. And I can up-level my awareness and choose what I desire and if I want to keep this belief. What I'm also finding is there are things coming up that have negative reaction, negative belief pattern, and I'm getting very upset. And I'm thinking, how do I find out what's causing this negative emotion, whatever it is? And I found this technique that I want to share. Just a second. Scratchy voice. So there's this technique that can help us release these hidden beliefs and those triggers that we get. And it's called, I call it Nectar, NCTER. It's a self-observation method. You name it, you claim it, you trace it, you erase it, you replace it. NCTER. So this is something we can use when this negative emotion comes up about something we've heard, something we've been accused of, or anything. This negative emotion comes up and we name it. We recognize that this emotion has been triggered by an event or a realization. We name the emotion we're feeling. And we want to name it because emotions don't lie, and they'll lead us to that subconscious belief. So once we know what the emotion is, we claim it. This has taken complete responsibility for the emotion and releasing any blame or judgment about the event or the person. It's recognizing and acknowledging that the event or the person didn't cause us to feel the way we do. It's important to be completely clear that this belief, something that we took into our belief system, is what's really causing this feeling, this way we're feeling, this belief that's being triggered. Just own that it's our own belief and no one else is responsible for it. And then we get to trace it. We can look through our past. And it's amazing that when we're knowing what this emotion is, when we look to our past, it'll be events and people that triggered that emotion. And we'll find this negative one that set a thought that we took in as truth. And we'll be able to look at what is the negative core belief that I created. We let the emotion lead us to the belief. We find that belief and know what it is and what caused it. And once we know that, then we have the ability to erase it. We have the ability to ask, is this belief serving me? Is this a negative emotional charge serving me right now? And I would guess in most instances, it's not. It's not a belief that's relevant anymore. And we can choose. This is the moment of choice to totally erase that emotional belief, that negative thought that is no longer serving us. We can let it go. I mean, sometimes we can find this negative belief and it says, well, I feel bad because I'm treated this way. Well, we don't have to go and let go of the preference to be treated well. We just have to let go of this belief that came up from bad treatment, that we weren't good enough, or whatever the belief was. We want to let go of the negative emotional trigger. And we can do this by visualizing erasing it, either deleting it from a Word document or taking a pencil and erasing it from something we've written, or whitewashing the canvas so it's no longer there. Just release it, let it go, know that it's not ours. And when we do that, there's this void that needs to be filled. So this is where we replace it. Here's where we consciously choose the new belief that supports us and supports how we want to be in the world. And to make it stick, this is where we attach a new, positive, joyful, enthusiastic emotion to it. Because we know emotion provides the power for the belief. So giving it that powerful, positive emotion, we've got this new belief that's wiped out the old, and we have a new way that we can relate in the world. We get this new power. We're not negatively triggered by the old belief. We get to experience this new way of being. So it's a wonderful process to just shift what we're not enjoying into what we want in life. And right now, with everything that's going on, I know that I need to really do the work to uncover any hidden racial biases or beliefs that I have and release them. Because every hidden belief that we release and replace, it raises our consciousness and awareness. You know, and I bring this up for all the racial bias, but it's not just the racial bias. It's what beliefs do we have around illness? You know, this COVID, do we think that it has to keep going on? Are we afraid? We need to let those things go. And what beliefs do we have around poverty or love or life? I mean, any of our beliefs that are holding us back. This is a wonderful opportunity right now because there's this wave of change. People are positively looking at what doesn't work and making the changes. And I like piggybacking on this kind of energy. And this seems to be, you know, people are wanting to change. And as we take these steps to raise our own consciousness, we raise the consciousness of the world. We help everyone. So it's kind of being in that place of awareness, you know, asking yourself, What level of awareness am I living at now? And now. And now it's keeping that observation mode open throughout your day, especially when something that doesn't feel comes up. You need to stay mindful and at any moment make that choice to be different. Oh, release those things that are constricting us and open up what feels good and what supports us. And this opens us to be a more loving channel for spirit. So I love that statement. We are all in this together. It's not a slogan. It is the reality of life. It can't be any other way. We are all one. All of us are connected as individuations of the divine, and we're awakening, and people are awakening, and we're all becoming more aware. There's this wonderful energy out here, and even what looks like chaos is opportunity to change. It's a really good time to be alive, no matter what it looks like on a minute-to-minute basis, because we are in that wave of creating something new, raising our consciousness. And I found a quote from Ernest Holmes that kind of sets this in. We can raise our consciousness high enough so that our creative thought has the power to dissolve solid facts, what we think is reality. That was me. As high temperature dissolves an iceberg, so love, vibrating at a higher level than hate, can dissolve hate. When the consciousness speaks, the law receives and executes. Now, this is the promise of our teaching. This is the promise of raising our consciousness and speaking at this higher level, because the law receives it and executes it and creates it and makes life better. So as we raise our awareness and our consciousness, we are changing the world, every one of us. And I want to end with this quote from John Denver, because I think it's just such a wonderful way of being and believing. And he had said, I believe that we are here for each other, not against each other. Everything comes from an understanding that you are a gift in my life, whoever you are, whatever our differences. If we remember that we are gifts of life and in life and for each other in our lives, we change the world. So go out there. Remember that you're a blessing. Remember that we make the difference and we make these changes, whatever our differences. And I think we have a really good song that goes with that.
We do. Thank you, Laura. That was wonderful. Before we go to the music video, Carol would like to say something. Carol?
Yeah, I read something on Facebook this week that I thought really fit in with Laura, a portion of Laura's talk, and it was the parable in the Bible of the shepherd and the lost sheep. Mm-hmm. And the parable is that the shepherd left his flock to go after the one lost sheep. And the question is, well, why did he do that? Don't the other sheep matter? And he answered, yes, the other sheep matter, but there's one sheep that's in more danger than the others. And the parable, or the metaphor in that, is that our Black brothers and sisters are the lost sheep. And they're the ones being harmed right now in ways that we really can't understand. They're being oppressed and even killed. Mm-hmm. And so they represent the lost sheep that's in more danger. And so the post was about people who say, well, all lives matter. It's not just Black lives. Well, of course, all lives matter. But in the moment, the Black sheep, the Black brother and sister is in more danger, and so Black Lives Matter. And that was their position on why are we saying Black Lives Matter. And I thought that was really insightful and relevant. While all lives do matter, it's our Black brothers and sisters who are the lost sheep right now.
Who are at risk, right? Yes, that's a great point. So we'll go to our music video now.
There's a winding road where I learned to run. The race is long, but it can be won. With every step we're taking, with every choice we're making, with every bend in the road, we get stronger. We can reach up, we can reach out, we can show this world what we're all about. We can do anything we put our minds to. We can be anything we wanna be. We must believe we can share the dream. There's a dead-end street where I used to play, but I found my wings. I can fly away. Below the street lights fading, ahead is my future waiting. Beyond the doubts and the fears, I can see it. We can reach up, we can reach out, we can show this world what we're all about. We can do anything we put our minds to. We can be anything we wanna be. Yeah, we must believe we can share the dream. We can share the dream, we can share the dream. Yes, we can. We can share the dream, we can share the dream. Oh, we can share the dream, we can share the dream. We can reach out. We can share the dream, we can share the dream. We can reach out. We can share the dream, we can share the dream. Sharing the future. We can share the dream, we can share the dream. We can reach out. We can reach out. We can show this world what we're all about. We can do anything we put our minds to. We can be anything we wanna be. We can reach out. We can reach out. We can show this world what we're all about. We can do anything we put our minds to. We can be anything we wanna be. We must believe we can share the dream. We can reach up.
Beautiful. Beautiful. That was awesome. Thank you, Laura, for finding that. That's beautiful. Yeah, really nice. Really works with this message today. So at this time, I would ask all of you to just go inward as we send out a blessing a clarity, a statement of knowing that for each and every being, everywhere, every child, every adult, every species, all that is on this beautiful planet on which we reside, just to know a better life right now. Stand in consciousness, declaring with clarity, with intention, with awareness, with potency, that right here and right now, each and every one, everywhere, is living a better life, a greater life, a life of more depth, more love, more meaning, greater presence, an experience where anything that appears as need or a lack or a want simply vanishes, and that which is seemingly needed is there right here, right now, where food is needed, where medical care is needed, where light is needed, where greater health is needed right now. We know that for each one seeking that. We know for every child that there is a hand reaching out in love, in consolation, in support, lifting them out of whatever troubles them into a place of greater sweetness, more completeness, more wholeness. We know for everyone that is experiencing that thing called poverty, something that looks like that right here, right now, again, that limitation is filled, and each and every one has what they need. We know, as Laura shared today, that everyone, everywhere stands and reaches out and moves into a place of greater, more whole consciousness, a consciousness that blesses and infuses every single life everywhere with greater beingness, with greater experience. We know it is done. And in tremendous gratitude for the awareness, the clarity, the dynamic presence that we, each and every one of us is, we say yes to this, we say thank you. We close knowing that we live this from a place of greater potency from this point forward, and we let this go, and together we say, and so it is. Sweet. Sweet. Thank you. And so as we begin to close this morning, just a few reminders that on Thursday nights at 8 p.m., we have our community connection. That's an open mic experience for anyone who wishes to join. The link for this coming Thursday will be the same as it was last week. You are welcome to share that with anyone. And let's just have a party Thursday at 8. It'll be great. It always is. It's different every week. Next Sunday in the house, we have Reverend Sally Robbins of Asheville. She's spoken with us many, many times now, and she's such a treat, such a delight, such a font of wisdom. So we look forward to that. Join us here next Sunday at 11 for Sally. At this time, I too want to extend another thank you to Sylvia Kearns. Sylvia has been working with us. Yeah, big hand for Sylvia. She has been working with us now for many weeks. She really was the impetus that showed up the light at the end of the tunnel for me as we began this Zoom journey. And I just, did the face palm over yet more learning curves and more things I would need to know. Sylvia saw that need. She came right in. She has been